Japan's equivalent to Surging Sparks is out now, which means Pikachu EX is in the wild, and players in Japan are building a whole bunch of different decks around this card. It's very early right now in the meta, but today I wanted to take a look at a number of different ways that Japan is already playing Pikachu EX. I'm Jet from inthirdperson.com. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let's see what Japan is cooking. Before we continue into this video, quickly wanted to let you know that I'm fundraising for Extra Life. 100% of the proceeds go towards the Children's Miracle Network of Hospitals, a network of 170 hospitals taking care of thousands of kids every day. Link is in the description if you want to make a donation, and if you make a donation at one of the 3 reward tiers, you can get some cool stuff from me, including a signed Pokemon card and prints of my spray paint art. So if you are interested in supporting a wonderful cause while also getting some cool stuff from me, hit the link in the description of this video and make a donation. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen, and let's get back to this video. Let's start with Pikachu EX itself. It is a lightning type Pokemon with 200 HP, which is a little low for an EX Pokemon, especially one that's an attacker, but it has the ability Resolute Heart, where if this Pokemon has full HP and would be knocked out by damage from an attack, it is not knocked out and its remaining HP becomes 10. There are a lot of Pokemon that can hit over 200 damage, but if they can't get that damage on early, Pikachu is just going to tank that initial hit, making it very tough to take down. And you really want to take down Pikachu EX because its Topaz Bolt attack for 1 grass, lightning, and metal energy does 300 damage. Now, there's a couple of catches here, right? The attack cost is really awkward with grass, lightning, and metal. 300's a little bit of an odd number. You're taking out all of the stage 1 EXs and V-stars and then everything below that. But stage 2 decks are a little trickier because they're north of 300 damage. And then you have to discard all of the energy. So how are you getting 3 energy on? Well, there's a couple of ways that we can at least fix the energy acceleration problem, because there are a lot of different ways in the format to get that energy on or get that energy back on or reduce the cost of the attack. So depending on how you play it, you could use an assortment of different options to power up Pikachu EX, and we're going to look at a bunch of different ones in this video. Now, the other quirk with Pikachu EX, and yes, that ability is amazing, but there are ways that your opponent can play around that as well. Something like a Monkey Dory, moving damage from one of your Pokemon to the Pikachu to preemptively put some damage on there, nullify the ability, and then their attacker can just blow you up. Dusknoir, Curse Blast. This card is everywhere right now in the format, and blowing up a Dusknoir can soften up a Pikachu so that your attacker can take it down. Yes, they have to give up a prize, but if they're trading 1 for 2, that could be a very advantageous play for them. And then even something like a Hawlucha just dropping 1 damage counter. Now you have to drop it on the bench Pokemon, but if you soften up a Pikachu on the bench for a future turn, you could then go and knock it out without having to deal with that ability. Now let's go look at some lists. And this first one is based around Blissey EX, which I think is a really cool partner for Pikachu. This one won an event in Japan. And the reason I like Blissey is that it has the Happy Switch ability, where once during your turn, you can move energy from one of your Pokemon to another one of your Pokemon. And if you've got multiple Blisseys, you can move multiple energy. And this pairs really nicely with the Glass Trumpet card, where if you've got a Terra Pokemon in play, in this case it's Terra Pikachu, you can choose up to 2 of your benched colorless Pokemon and attach a basic energy card from your discard pile to each of them. So after Pikachu does its thing and shoots that attack off, you can then use Glass Trumpet to put the energy onto a couple of Blisseys, or even the Chansey can take that energy, and then Blissey can move that energy back to Pikachu so it can attack again. And then we even have Radiant Greninja here to help us draw cards while also getting that energy in the discard pile so that we can reattach it with Glass Trumpet. So some really cool synergy there with the energy going away, whether you're discarding it with Radiant Greninja or Pikachu with its initial attack, reattaching it with the Glass Trumpet, and then moving that energy to Pikachu with Blissey. Some other cool techs in this deck include Monkey Dory, where its Adrenal Brain ability lets you move up to 3 damage counters from one of your Pokemon to one of your opponent's Pokemon. So if Pikachu tanks a hit, you can move some of that damage off of your Pikachu onto a different Pokemon of your opponent's side. So like stage 2 decks, for example, you're fighting against Charizard, they swing into your Pikachu, you can move 30 damage off of your Pikachu onto that Charizard, and then Pikachu can swing for 300, KOing that Zard. Or just softening something else up for a future turn. Because we also have, and while we're talking about Stage 2 specifically, I'm going to jump ahead in the presentation a little bit, we have the new Gravity Mountain Stadium here as well, where each Stage 2 Pokemon in play has 30 less HP, at which point, even without the Monkey Dory shenanigans, you are knocking out a Charizard, but Monkey Dory can help you soften up some other targets later on in the game. If you don't have Gravity Mountain in play, you can also use this to soften up the active Stage 2. So let's go back a little bit here, talk about some other cards. Power Glass lets you attach a basic energy from your discard pile at the end of your turn on your active Pokemon. So Pikachu does its big attack, gets the Power Glass, and then takes an energy back, and you're probably tanking that hit. Hopefully you're tanking that hit, and then you've got one less energy to worry about on that following turn. So really nice tech card in here. We also have Technical Machine Turbo Energize, where this TM for only 1 energy lets you search your deck for 2 basic energy cards and attach them to your bench Pokemon in any way you like. So let's say you've got a Chansey in the active, you can use Turbo Energize to power up a Pikachu and then end your turn. So kind of a great way of starting off the match. And then we have Precious Trolley, the new ace spec, where it lets you search your deck for any number of basic Pokemon and put them onto your bench, then shuffle your deck. And this deck does need a lot of bench support with multiple Chanseys and the Monkey Dory and the Greninja, and even just getting an extra Pikachu on the board or something like that. So Precious Trolley can get you all of those pieces in one go. First off, thank you so much for watching this far into the video. And before we get to the next match, quickly wanted to let you know that I am hosting an Extra Life 24-hour marathon on Saturday, November 2nd at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. It's going to be an absolute blast. We are playing in support of the Children's Miracle Network of Hospitals. You can make a donation, get some cool stuff from me, as well as support a wonderful cause. And my friends, family, and I are going to be in the house. We're going to be playing games all day, all night, Pokemon TCG, and a whole bunch of other stuff. You don't want to miss it. And all of the action is going to take place on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/inthirdperson. Again, 24-hour marathon, Saturday, November 2nd, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Hope to see you there. Now let's get back to it. This second one is in the same framework as the first, but it does have a couple of extra techs, including Iron Hands EX. In particular, you want that Amp You Very Much attack for 1 lightning and 3 colorless, does 120 damage, and if you take a KO with this attack, you get to take 1 more prize. So in particular, against smaller single prize Pokemon, you can use Iron Hands, take 2 prizes instead of 1, and you don't have to discard that energy like you do with Pikachu, kind of helping you round out some of your tougher matchups because Pikachu EX is pretty inefficient against single prize Pokemon. We also have the Bibero line here to draw more cards, giving you a bit more of a draw engine that the other variation didn't have. This third and final Blissey version of the deck has a couple of different draw options here. This one includes the Squawkabilly EX, lets you discard your hand on the first turn and draw 6 cards, giving you a fresh start when your first hand kind of sucks. Also helps get energy in the discard pile so that Glass Trumpet can do its thing on future turns. And then we also squeeze in a Pheasantipity EX, where you get to draw 3 cards after your opponent has knocked out a Pokemon of yours on the previous turn. No Iron Hands here. Maybe there's a way of squeezing all of this into one archetype. We've got them split across a bunch of different Blissey variations here, but I think between these 3, you can kind of pick and choose which pieces you want in your version of the deck. Now let's move on to Lost Box. Now I know Lost Box is rotating soon, but for the next couple of months, we can slide Pikachu in here where it's a incredibly powerful attacker hitting for 300, maybe even 330 damage if it's a stage 2 and we've got that mountain stadium in there. And the other fun thing is that its ability makes it incredibly tanky, and if they can't soften it up beforehand, Pikachu is going to be able to tank a hit, at which point maybe you attack with Pikachu again, or you move into another attacker like Cramorant, Sableye, Iron, whatever. The deck has a lot of different attack options here, and Pikachu fits in quite nicely. One of the nice synergies between Lost Box and Pikachu is that you can cover a lot of its awkward attack costs with Mirage Gate, where once you've got 7 cards in the Lost Zone, you can take 2 basic energy cards of different types from your deck and then just put them onto Pikachu, and you can use that to either cover 2 out of 3, or you can also pair that with the Sparkling Crystal, which reduces your attack cost by 1, at which point 1 Mirage Gate is going to power up a Pikachu. And then because Pikachu is oftentimes tanking hits, you can just use another Mirage Gate to load up even more energy with a Pikachu that has a Sparkling Crystal on and swing for another 300 damage. So really cool synergies here and other ways of reducing that attack cost. I do like the inclusion of Briar in this deck as well, where if your opponent has exactly 2 prize cards remaining, you can take an extra prize with a Terra Pokemon that is KOing the active. So Pikachu here could potentially swing on a Charizard for 330 damage with that stadium in play, and then take 3 prizes, which is nuts. So something to keep in mind here as well. And I do like the Terapagos tech in here as well. You're probably not using Unified Beatdown because we don't have Area 0 Underdepths and we're only swinging for 150 damage without that stadium in play. Maybe your opponent plays another Area 0 deck and you can take advantage of that, but more often than not in a Lost Box deck, you're using this as a tech attacker with that Crown Opal attack where you do 180 damage and prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from basic non-colorless Pokemon. So a deck like Raging Bolt, for example, would not be able to swing through Terapagos EX after Crown Opal and have to do some weird gusting shenanigans. So potentially a way of walling off those types of decks. This 5th place example from Japan uses Regigigas, where it has the ability to accelerate 3 energy from your discard pile to one of your Pokemon if you have all of the other Regis in play. Now, normally, before Area 0 Underdepths, you only had enough bench space to have the Regigigas line, all of the Regigigases in play. And that's still kind of a cool option here because they're different types and you can hit for weakness. But with Area 0 Underdepths, you can expand your bench and make more room for an attacker like Pikachu EX, which can swing for massive damage to the active. We can also make room for Iron Hands EX, which can take out smaller Pokemon and take an extra prize. And we even get a bench sniping option with Wellspring Mask Ogerpon EX, where its Torrential Pump attack does 100 to the active and then 120 to the bench if you shuffle 3 energy cards from this Ogerpon back into the deck. The one thing you're just going to have to keep in mind is that when you play Area 0 Underdepths, you have to have a Terra Pokemon in play. So make sure you're able to juggle getting all 6 Regis on the board, as well as have Area 0 Underdepths in play so that you can put in one of these extra Terra attackers, or just extra attackers, whether it's Pikachu, Iron Hands, or Wellspring Mask Ogerpon. A nice little tech here as well is Latias EX, where all of your basic Pokemon have no retreat cost. In certain instances where maybe you need to pivot a second Pikachu in after the first one gets knocked out and you don't have it yet, or whatever the case may be, Latias EX can help you pivot your right Pokemon into the active so that it can do its thing. And just one other thing I'm seeing here, you can even use Radiant Greninja as a snipe attacker as well if you don't have the Ogerpon in play, or you just need a single prize option, as long as Regigigas has the energy it needs in the discard pile. This winning list from Japan is quite different from the other ones we've seen so far because we are using Magneton for energy acceleration. This is a new card in Surging Sparks where its Overvolt Discharge ability lets you accelerate 3 energy from your discard pile to one of your lightning Pokemon in any way you like. But it knocks out the Magneton in the process, so you're giving up 1 prize. But if you're taking multiple prizes, whether you're attacking with Pikachu EX swinging for big damage on a multi-prize Pokemon, or Iron Hands taking an amp you very much on a smaller Pokemon, you're ideally trading 2 for 1 every time. At least that's the intent of this deck. Crispin can help us cover the costs of Pikachu and even Iron Hands as well, where you can search your deck for 2 basic energy cards of different types, reveal them, and then put one in your hand and then attach the other one to one of your Pokemon, then shuffle your deck. One of the great things about Iron Hands is that it only needs 1 lightning energy for amp you very much, or 2 for its arm press attack, so grabbing that other energy doesn't really hurt it, and if anything, it helps because you can still power up Iron Hands, or Pikachu for that matter. So really nice tech card in this deck. Power Glass is going to help us keep our energy on Pikachu after it discards a whole bunch. Again, when at the end of your turn, you get to accelerate an energy from your discard pile onto your active Pokemon that has Power Glass on. So with Pikachu, you do your big attack, and then Power Glass helps you conserve one of those energies, making it easier to power up on a following turn. And then as our draw supporter, we've got Noctowl, where its Jewel Seeker ability lets us grab 2 trainer cards of our choice if we have a Terra Pokemon in play. I do find it annoying sometimes where I've got the Noctowls ready to go, especially when you play Fan Rotom first and then you get the Noctowl pieces ready, but you don't have the Terra Pokemon, so it can be kind of annoying. But when you do have that Pikachu in play, you can evolve into Noctowl, grab the 2 trainer cards that you need, and keep it moving. Example 7 builds on the idea of Magneton and Noctowl and squeezes in a whole Galvantula line in here. And the benefits of that is that you get access to the Joltik that lets you accelerate 2 grass energy and 2 lightning energy from your deck onto your bench Pokemon, well, any of your Pokemon in any way you like, and you could use this to power up 2 Pikachus, or you could build towards a Galvantula, where you can use Charged Web for lightning and a colorless, does 110 damage or 220 damage to Pokemon EX or V. You're going to be able to knock out a lot of basic EXs and Vs, but there are some bigger meta-relevant attackers like a Raging Bolt or a Iron Hands or Roaring Moon, where it's going to come up a bit short, so you want to pick your spots wisely. But one of the benefits is you don't have to discard energy with this Charged Web attack. And then Fulgurite for a grass, lightning, and fighting energy does 180 damage, and you discard all the energy off of this Pokemon, and then your opponent can't play item cards on the following turn. So definitely an interesting attack, and if you sequence this right with your different ways of getting energy back in play, such as Crispin, or lowering the cost, such as Sparkling Crystal, you could item lock for multiple turns. But regardless, the combination of Galvantula and Joltik to get that energy on, Galvantula giving you a couple of extra attack options, and then Pikachu for that big swing could be very cool. This last example is a straight up Miraidon build with a lot of different attackers here, and Pikachu's not actually attacking in this build. As you can see here, this one just has lightning energy and double turbo energy. There are a number of Miraidon decks that are built this way, where you're not really giving Pikachu EX the opportunity to attack with that extra energy. Miraidon players seem to be comfortable with their current suite of attackers, but Pikachu EX is a upgrade over Mewtwo EX, which has been used in that deck to activate Area 0 Underdepths, where some of the benefits are that Pikachu only has 1 retreat, so it's less likely to get stuck in the active, and worst case scenario, you can just attach a lightning energy and then move Pikachu out of the active. And then also that Resolute Heart ability makes it difficult for your opponent to one-hit KO, so they can't necessarily just take a cheeky 2 prizes while also forcing you to lower your bench because you lost your Area 0 Underdepths activator. Before we wrap things up here, quickly wanted to remind you that it is the early days of Pikachu EX. Japan is going to continue playing with the card and seeing what's possible and making optimizations. And once Surging Sparks comes out in the West, players from around the world are going to have an opportunity to refine these lists even further. There might even be whole new archetypes that we haven't even thought of yet that would work with Pikachu EX. So use this as sort of a preview to see what's possible and potentially get your gears rolling on how you would build a Pikachu EX deck. But for now, I got to get going. Thank you so much for watching. You can find me on all the things: YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram at InThirdPerson. You can find me on Twitch at InThirdPerson, where I stream the Pokemon trading card game every Sunday around 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And check out the website InThirdPerson.com for more articles and videos on video games, board games, and other nerdy pursuits. So until the next one, I'll see you later. Bye-bye.